I think we're live now. Hi guys, hello our replay people. I don't think anybody is jumping on just yet, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of views on this one because I'm very, very excited today. I have a very interesting week, and this week easy chats are all about systems. So Tuesday we had Sarah Thompson, who was talking about startup entrepreneurs or struggling entrepreneurs who don't have systems in place, and she's teaching people how to put systems in place and use free tools and get themselves organized. But today is like a progression to this conversation, and I am going to introduce you to Jeff J. Hunter, Mr. Productivity and Upscaling and Systems himself. Jay, hello. Jeff, hello.
Well, I'm just excited to be here. Thanks for the warm welcome.
I'm delighted. I'm a little bit like you're everywhere in my news feed on Facebook, and you know how it is when you meet and then you see the person everywhere. So the more you see them, the more you get excited about them. So I'm like, yes, I got him. You know, it's just great. And you know, I had to go through the booking process. I think it's also cool, you know, and it's very kind of professional. So it's really good. I'm delighted to have you here, and especially because I love the topic that I'm hoping to discuss with you today, which is upscaling at the point where you can't run the business yourself. But before I go into that, I just wanted to introduce yourself to people who maybe don't know you and who you are and where you come from and what you do. Take it away.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Jeff J. Hunter, and like I've been so, I guess, warmly welcomed. I am in the productivity space. I actually have been a project manager from a past life. Hi, guys. I see people in here already. From a past life, I was a project manager, and I also learned how to leverage virtual teams to get things done as a project manager. And it was really interesting because I started realizing that was applicable to like every business. So I kept thinking, like, what else could I outsource? You know, what else could I delegate things out? And that's when I realized, I said, you know, there aren't a whole lot of things in our businesses nowadays that really have to be done by us. And that's where that 90-10 philosophy came from. I'm the creator of the 90-10 life, where we focus on the 10% of our lives that really matter, and then we can systematize, delegate, automate that other 90% that's keeping us away from our real true passions.
Oh, I love the play on 90-10 versus 80-20, actually. And I do like that. So there's a bit of like, you really do want to kind of outsource much more, you know. So 90-10 is brilliant. All right. And so so you were in a corporate job when all these ideas were happening. And how did this progress into becoming an entrepreneur and running business?
Yeah, it actually progressed. I was in 3 different complete worlds because I was actually in the public sector. I used to be the IT coordinator for a school district here. I'm in California, and I did that for 5 years, and I really enjoyed it. You know, I've been fortunate. I've been very blessed. Everything that I have done, every job that I've ever had has always been like the best. I loved it. I loved the people. But, you know, just life's progression. I went from that into project management in the corporate world. I worked for a global Fortune, 500 company. And I rose through the ranks really quickly there. And it was interesting that I realized the one thing that really separated people was focus. Like, focus is so important. And so many times where we are, especially when I've come from the corporate world to the entrepreneur space, I found like everyone in the entrepreneur space has shiny object syndrome, right? They're just like, they're all over the place. They're crazy. And I know it's totally cliche, but it's true. The entrepreneurs are the only people I know crazy enough to work the 80-hour work week to escape the 40-hour work week. So,
that is not true. It took me years to actually stop working all the time.
Everyone I know, like, I am the anti-hustler. I own the domain, theantihustler.com. Like, you know, that there's a reason. People used so a play on what you just said, the 80-20 versus the 90-10. I love the 80-20, the Pareto principle, right? And Vilfredo Pareto in 1895 came up with that. Not to give everyone a history lesson here, but he realized that there were a trivial many and a vital few, and that was applicable to almost everything. The people that were very wealthy and productive, very vital versus the trivial many. Same thing with the things we have to do in our day. We have the trivial many things and the vital few. And we're busy kicking the rocks instead of pushing the boulder. We're not getting the big stuff done, the stuff that really progresses us in life. We're focused on the little things. We get easily distracted. And actually, the reason why the 90-10 life came to be is because one of my big heavy hitter clients, she's a ClickFunnels 2 Club award winner, which means she's, $1 million plus revenue. And, when I worked with her, I actually have always been doing consulting, project management consulting, outsourcing consulting, things like that. And I flew all the way to Boise, Idaho. She flew from New Zealand to talk to me about this. And what's crazy is that the very first thing I always do with my clients is I figure out what is going on in their lives. Like, what really are they doing in their business? And just writing down a list. It's amazing how many people don't even write down what they do on a day-to-day basis. You'd be surprised how much stuff we do that we don't need to do. And she wrote this giant list, and I'm not even kidding you. It was almost 100 things. It was like 99 things. And then we went through it together, and we said, well, what do you really need to do? Like, what uses your unique abilities versus what can we delegate to someone else to do for you? And guess what? Literally, she was only able to circle 10 things on that list that she really had to do. And then she looked at me, and now I'm not much of a cursor, so I'm just going to abbreviate this. But she looked at me and she says, F the 80-20, I want to live the 90-10 life. And I was like, oh, wow. She goes, that's a really good idea. Buy the domain.
Brilliant. And so you did. And you created a
business. And so it became. Exactly. And that's the thing is really the premise of outsourcing and delegating and systematizing, like you said, you had systems going into there, is that you really need to focus on what you're most valuable at. If you look at Tony Robbins, if you look at, Elon Musk, if you look at all the greats in this world, right? You look at the CEOs of these companies, they're not their own secretaries. They have a secretary, yet entrepreneurs are crazy enough to be their own secretary, be their own boss, be their own transcriptionist, be their own content marketer and blog writer, and and be their own tax man, consultant, and all these different things that we are, and we never get ahead. See, entrepreneurs are probably the most trapped people in this earth because they've created a job for themselves. They'd actually have more freedom if they went and took a pay cut, went and got a 40-hour day job, and then built something on the side.
That's
It's crazy.
It is true. It is true. But the question is, of course, if you're working with people who already have an established business and, they have the money to outsource, then, of course, it's only a matter of deciding what to outsource. But my question is,
you're getting into a big myth that I want to bust.
Great, bust it before I go any further.
Because believe it or not, I get this all the time. I get people that come to me and say, I'd love to outsource, but I can't afford it. I'm not in a position in my business to outsource. And I'm like, So I want to give you guys an example. There's something that I teach called cost neutral hiring methodology. And cost neutral, guys, this isn't like an abstract, whoa, this guy, I didn't invent this. I've labeled it, but I didn't invent this. It's been around since the beginning of time. Is that I want to give it to you this way. If you've got you have a brick and mortar business and you sell widgets on a shelf, right? And you hire someone to run the cash register at that store, and you sell 25 widgets for $10. Okay, that's $250, and you paid the person over here $75 to run the cash register, and you've made a profit of $5 for each of those things. Right? Like I'm a math guy. Sorry if I throw some numbers out there. But the point is that that person sitting there collecting the money is making you money, right?
That's right.
And you don't have to be there. And to give a more entrepreneurial aspect of it, if you hire someone for $1,000 and that person creates $2,000 worth to your business, then how many people would you hire, right?
Of course, yeah.
Unlimited. And that's the same thing. People come to me all the time. They're like, wow, dude, because I have 50 plus virtual assistants for my own business. And they're like, why do you how do you have all these people? Well, first off, they make me money, right? Like they literally do things. They the graphic design and web design, and they're doing podcast show notes, and they're doing all these crazy things that I don't want to do and other people don't want to do. One of the people that's watching this right now, Juliette Jackson. Hi, Juliette. She has a really cool podcast service where she's helping other podcasters get seen, and she's also getting people that have podcasts get really great guests. Well, does it make sense for her to hire someone for $7 to $10 an hour to go and do that work so she can focus on what she's really needing to do? Yeah, it's all about what really brings the most money in and the most value, because it's not even about the money, right? I mean, of course, we all have to stay alive and float, but are we able to really focus? Like, most people don't even know how much value they really are because they don't spend enough time doing really valuable things in their business.
That's true. That is so true. So, yes, absolutely.
That's all I wanted to bust. I just wanted to bust that people come to me all the time and say they can't afford a VA. But if you know what that VA is going to do before you hire them, and it's going to be a revenue generating activity, then by hiring them, you will then actually earn more money.
That's right. So then my question then, and in a way it was something that I was going to say, and it still comes in. So when does one know it's time to hire someone? Is there like, how do you know? Or because a lot of people are caught up in this thing that, no, I can still do it all myself, you know. But when do you know? When do you need to take the leap of faith and invest into that? Here's
the thing. It's a two-way street here, because a lot of people come to me and will do the opposite thing. They'll say, I'm going to hire a VA and we're going to figure it out. Do not do that. The last thing you want to do is hire someone. That's why when I train my own people and I train my clients, I always say, please make sure you know what someone's going to do before you hire them. So many horror stories come because they've hired a VA and the VA comes in and they're like, what am I supposed to be doing here? And then what's happened is you don't know what they're supposed to be doing. So you're wasting your time and their time and your money, right? Oh. Because you're paying them to learn. So if you have these systems in place first, that's when you do it. So what I like to do is, and maybe if I'm feeling generous at the end, I'll drop a link out for people to do this activity. I have an activity that will help people kind of sort out the important things in their life and separate them from the things that aren't so important. And structuring your business, guys, you know what? You're going to have such a huge advantage. This is crazy to think this, guys, but did you know that only 3% of entrepreneurs actually have a plan, like a written down plan? Like yeah, they don't. I believe that. If I polled people here, I'd be curious to see, and I'm not trying to degrade people here, but I'm just going to give a reality to people, is that a lot of times we're flailing around and we don't have a real plan for our business. I don't have a plan, right? And I'm talking to people that I'm teaching what I'm teaching, and I know they don't have a plan. There's no, just, you know, we're not trying to undermine anyone. It's just true. We have it here somewhere, but it's so vague. There's no written plan on the wall, and, you know, the strategy that comes with it. You're so right. Well, I just want to help everybody. You know, like, for me, it was a huge breakaway, and I don't want to brag right now, but I want to tell you guys what it's like every day in my business. I wake up and just imagine I have 50 plus people that work for me. Okay, I have a $500,000 business, and matter of fact, I have 3 businesses. Okay, my main one is a good chunk of that though. And what's really interesting here though is that I wake up in the morning, and most people, they look at their phone, they're fidgeting around, they're catching up on their emails, whatever else. I have a Slack channel with my executive assistant. Her name's Kavika. And she sends me a message if there's anything that she needs from me in the morning, right? And if there's something that she needs from me, I'll give it to her. And by the way, it's very rarely that she needs something from me. Today she did. Today she said, hey, can you tell me what happened yesterday? Because after she logged out yesterday, I had a conversation with someone on Facebook, and I had them fill out a form, and she was like, what's this for? So I just said, hey, this person needs to be doing whatever, right? So just sending them on the way. But a lot of people don't have that freedom, right? So when I wake up in the morning, I get to do what I want to do. Usually I don't start work until 11 a.m., which is why we're doing this at 11 a.m. my time here in America. Usually I use that time to either take my son to school with my wife, or we go to the gym or something like that. I really don't.
Morning time actually is vital to not work. It's so easy to get sucked into working in the morning. It's the best time for me time or family time. I do the same. I take out my family for a coffee, or I don't want to commit to anything early in the morning.
Exactly. And for me too, sometimes I'll stay up later, and that's because a lot of my team is in the Philippines. So if they do have questions for me, like I said, they don't usually have many questions. But it's definitely something that, in a way, it's like, do I want to be available for them? And some of it's just because I feel a personal responsibility, right? Because it's the same thing when you hire people, and this is something I want to give some pointers out to people. This is the reality of VAs, because it's not all rainbows and sunshine, okay? Sometimes things go wrong, and when your VA does something that doesn't work, well, it's an extension of you. So you actually have to own it and say, okay, how can we make this better? And then do a debrief and say, hey, let's figure out how we can make this process better. But I'll tell you, usually, 75 to 80% of the time, that I made that number up, but it's, for me, that's my own personal experience. Usually when something goes wrong, it's usually my fault. Usually I didn't do something well. I didn't delegate enough. And guys, here's the transition. You can have all the systems and processes and all that stuff in your business. But you know what? The one thing that you cannot escape, if you want to really build a business the right way and scale it the right way, you have to be a really good leader. And to be a really good leader, you have to be good at delegating. You have to be good at influencing and persuading to get people to do results for you. And that's something that even in the past year, I've realized, because I've been doing this for 10 years. And even in the past year, I would say that I've catapulted probably 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times the results, the success that I've had with my own personal team in the past year, is because I've realized that what they need is an inspirational leader. Because what you're doing is they respond to you. If you're being that person, if you're setting the standard, if you're setting the tone for your business, people will come into that. People, Elon Musk, for example, right? Or these greats like the Virgin Mobile CEO and all these guys, they're inspirational. They're like, yes, let's do this, right? And you want your team to log on. Even if you have a single virtual assistant, you want them to log on and be like, yes, and they fully are vested and believe in you and the company's vision and things like that. That's our job. Our job is to convey our vision and to motivate people and inspire people, and they will in turn do really amazing things for you because they want to be a part of it. The reason why we are entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I actually have to say that. So I worked with a lot of smaller businesses, and very often you walk into premises and you feel kind of like a heavy atmosphere, and it usually comes from an overwhelmed owner who is, instead of delegating and doing the training, they don't have time, they think, to train properly. Then they start blaming their staff, or they're coming in, they're not happy. But then and it just creates a very bad atmosphere, and you feel it as an outsider as well. It's a dangerous thing, especially if you have premises where people are coming in, So yes, I can relate to that. I've seen that happening.
And Juliette, I'm going to give you, everyone who's watching right here, for people who have just joined in or have maybe you're watching the replay right now, this pause right here, if you're watching the replay, and get ready to get a piece of paper. I'm going to give you a $10,000 tip. How do I know this? Because literally I got paid $10,000 for this tip. And this is going to revolutionize the way that you delegate, okay? What you're doing every day, you have to do it anyway. You have to do it anyway. Record it. You download a program. It's free. It's called TinyTake. There's another program called Loom. It's a Chrome extension. It will allow you to record 10 minutes of video. You have to do the work anyway. Record it. Record the work. Play it back and type out what you're actually doing. Like when you're recording yourself, explain it. Say, well, first I'm going to go up here and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, right? Step by step, just as you're doing it. It might take you a little bit longer to do it, but just talk about it like you're trying to give it to someone else, right? This is what I call a freedom recipe. And the reason why I call it that is because, guys, I don't know anyone who wakes up in the morning as a delegate, someone who's getting a task given to them that goes, "Ooh, I can't wait for this new standard operating procedure," right? No one says that. But if I call them freedom recipes, and this is why. It's kind of like that mental psyche thing. Like, it creates freedom for us because once we get it together and once we give the plan to someone, it frees us from doing it. And a recipe is because I'm a horrible cook. Outside of hamburgers, hot dogs, and steaks, and sometimes it's iffy on steaks, I'm absolutely horrible at cooking. But my wife has this amazing cookbook, right? It's a recipe book, and it's amazing. It literally, I always come out on top. It says, like, put 3 eggs in a bowl, a cup of flour, half a cup of this, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and this and that. I mix it up together, put it into the oven for 375 degrees at 45 minutes, and then boom, I get a cake or whatever it is that I've just made, right? And it comes out every time. And if people could use that same type of mentality when they give instructions to other people, it is such a freeing moment because you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have to do this. And that first taste of freedom for people is so valuable, guys. Record what you're doing every day, document it, and then give it. Give it. You're going to find out if you're good at giving directions when you give it to someone and they can't figure it out. Because then you're going to work with them. And here's what I always say. Make sure that when you do that, you just give them the instructions and then work it out and say, hey, can I see how you do this? Or if they have, make them ask questions. And then it will improve your process. Work on the instructions together.
Wow, it's so interesting, because the problem, though, that if you are not good at communicating, how do you push it? Like, I know people who are brilliant entrepreneurs, amazing people, but they just can't explain in words what they want, so you really need to figure it out yourself if you're working with them. Pictures,
yeah.
Pictures,
screenshots.
Yeah. That's
videos.
True. That's right. That's actually very good. It's a very good idea. One more question.
Honest,
yeah.
Most people, Juliette, are visual learners. Yeah. So if you can provide instructions in a visual format, a Google Doc, Evernote is a great thing, TinyTake, Loom, upload a video, use ScreenFlow, or upload it to YouTube. Just make sure that people see what you're trying to accomplish.
Right. Okay. So tell me this another aspect where we were talking that investing in a virtual assistant is a good thing because they're freeing you up and they're probably going to bring you money in. Well, not probably, if you delegate what you need to delegate correctly and systems are in place and everything. But is it expensive? How? That's the question. Is it expensive?
Let's roll back. Let's roll back because everyone always says that to me. What can I outsource to a virtual assistant? Hey, look, guys, I made something for you. I'll drop a link here. If you guys just type in 17 tasks, just type in 17 tasks in the chat, and I'll make sure myself or Juliette send this to you guys. But I actually have I've got 17 things that every business should outsource, guys. This is something that my own team actually put together. This is the most common things that I personally outsource. So these are ways that you can actually have a virtual assistant, create value for you already back in your life. And then moving on to the other thing that you just said, because these are the two, so ironically, these are the top 2 things people ask me. One, what can they do? What can I have my virtual assistant do? And the second thing is, how much do I pay them?
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course. So that's the 2 things. I personally, I know off the top of my head what I want to outsource. I know what I want to outsource. I want to outsource replying to Facebook comments and messages.
Exactly. now that one you might be screwed on. Because
I know. It's not going to ever happen.
I delegated that to my VA. So what I've done is, and actually Julia who's watching this right now, she had a comment on Facebook that she said, hey, who has a great podcast? And all these people listen their podcasts out. So I had one of my VAs go to that post and actually do research to find all of those people's podcasts, right? But how valuable is that to know everyone's podcast, right? And it's not like that's a huge time sink for us. And look, I'm not devaluing the time of a virtual assistant is super valuable, and it's really amazing for us to use that. And a lot of times I see people degrading virtual assistants, saying that, you know, my time's not worth that. I want to have my VA do it. Their time's worth less. It's not that it's worth less, guys. It's just that you need to do what you do best, and they need to do what they do best. And most virtual assistants, for me, now I want to give a disclaimer. I get haters all the time. I'm just going to throw this out there. I get haters all the time.
You look so positive. How can anybody hate you? You're like, I just grin all the time when I look at you.
Here's why. Because this guide is about Filipino virtual assistants, which is mainly where I have VAs all over the world. I've got America. I've got South America. I've got people in Canada. I've got the UK, Australia. I have people in Pakistan. I've got people in Afghanistan. I've got India, Chennai, India. But about 80% of my staff are in the Philippines, and what I get haters on all the time are American and Western VAs.
Yes.
I get Western VAs that are charging $40, $50 an hour, and they're calling themselves virtual assistants. See, I have to set the record straight. They're consultants. They're marketing consultants. They're things like that. They're not virtual assistants. The word assistant means to assist. It means to assist someone from a higher level. You don't expect to be an assistant and get paid the executive rate. And I just want to throw that out there. And you know, I'm going to get hate on this. Probably someone's going to share this. I have a whole fan club. But, you know, I think there's a war right now on the definition of a virtual assistant. Okay.
But I disagree with one thing. You know, look, if you want to go, let's say in Ireland, if you have a job as a waiter in the restaurant, yeah, you're getting minimum wage. We don't work off the tips here. They work, you know, off the minimum wage. So you're going to get €9 an hour. So €9 an hour is the minimum wage. If you could earn €9 an hour, not carrying heavy plates, fucking up I'm cursing, your back and, you know, all these things and actually causing, you know, psychologically you're under high stress, and you can actually do something on a computer at home in a really nice environment, maybe make a few phone calls, whatever is required. I rest my case.
I agree with you. And see, like, what right now, one of my VAs, she manages my Instagram account. She's from Texas. I actually just got done sending her a PayPal payment. And by the way, I know some of you guys watching donated, so I saw. Thank you guys so much. We were able to raise $150 to her PayPal, because what happened was, she got in Texas. They had the floods, and that storm came through, and she was getting rescued by a boat on the top of her house.
Wow!
And when she was getting into the boat, she dropped her phone into the water, and so I helped her out, and I raised some money to get her new phone. But this is a woman. She has kids. She has a very busy life. You can't, you know, and you know, people talk about the gender pay, you know, what is it, the gender gap, the wage gap, there we go, gender parity and all this kind of stuff. And I want to be completely honest, and, you know, sure, I'm a man, but doesn't mean that I can't put my opinion and expertise on it, because I work, most of my employees, they are women. They are women. And
I saw a wonderful picture on your page there. All the girls, is beautiful.
This is Leanne. This is Leanne. She's been working with me for over 3 years now. And she's amazing, and she's the breadwinner in her family. So she actually earns the most of anyone in her family, of all generations ever.
Wow.
Working for her. And the thing is, people need to understand that, you know, we have a responsibility. You know, I think we're very privileged in this world. I hate the word privilege, but I think we're very privileged because we come up with a society that, especially in the Western world, we have tons of confidence. We have really great education. We really don't have any limiting beliefs in our own heads. You know, in the Philippines, they're raised to be employees. They're really raised to be employees. Most of the applications that I get, they say that I went to their goal in life, like on their resume, says that they want to serve a company forever. You know, obviously I'm paraphrasing that, but basically that's what they say. To be a loyal. It's a cultural kind of thing, you know. It's an interesting thing. I was once reading about cultures that are when we were all, you know, tribes and all. Cultures that grew up on the need to hunt. Mm-hmm. They would be more independent now, like Western countries, and countries that grew up on growing rice
which requires tradition, and you have to be really careful, and you have to do everything, you know, there's no kind of unexpected thing and adapting. You have to do it by the book, or you will starve and die. And those cultures are so much easier to sort of brainwash into these kind of beliefs, you know, as you said.
I think that's a good segue into your actual question that I still haven't answered, which is how much should I pay my virtual assistant? And the truth is, guys, it depends. It depends. First, it depends on where they're from. You know, obviously, the one I was telling you about who manages my Instagram account, she only works for me part-time, and I pay her $500 a month. And I'm just being honest here, guys. This is what I pay her. But you know what she does? She goes on my Instagram account and she posts a picture from my own gallery, and she comes up with some cool things to say about it. And she usually asks me questions like, hey, where was this? And things like that. And then she'll tag other people in it that were involved in the pictures, and she'll do some hashtags to find out what people want. And she does that. She posts for me every day on Instagram, and it's totally worth it because I'm getting lots of traction. I have thousands of followers on Instagram now.
And you're converting and you're making money from
that. I think it's like almost 5 or 6% of my website traffic comes from Instagram. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but guys, I mean, you know, I have a lot of traffic. Just gonna throw it out there. That's a lot of traffic from Instagram.
In some countries, $500 a month is a really, really good salary, and you can have a good quality of life on that money.
That's right. And see, guys, I wanted to make sure that A, you know what you're getting in for, and B, you always pay for the role, right? You always hire for the role. So I actually, my virtual assistant team put this guide together. This is the virtual assistant salary guide. I'll drop a link in here too, guys. If you guys want this, just type in salary guide. I'll make sure that we get this out to you guys. But this also goes over, I don't sure they can see, but what it looks like globally between different rates and what you should expect to pay from the Philippines versus the UK versus America versus Mexico, Australia. You know, you can see what virtual assistants are getting paid in different countries so that you can make a better informed decision on what you want to do. But I also have really cool information here about what you should actually pay based on the role. And there's a low, and let me explain this to you guys. There's a low and a high. And let me explain that. It depends when you hire someone if they have a lot of experience or they have a low amount of experience. If they have a little bit of experience, then obviously you'd pay them less than someone who has a lot of experience. And I also have another one on here called the freelance hourly pay. The freelance hourly pay here, because a lot of times most people don't even need a full-time VA, guys. Matter of fact, I would recommend not getting a full-time VA. Because you want to learn and start out slow and, you know, kind of warm up to it. Unless you've got a task that will take you 8 hours a day or maybe 4 hours a day, you can hire someone more permanently. But I recommend just going at it and learning the ropes, you know, maybe even go on Upwork or something and hire someone there just to test that out. Now, of course, I have tons of tools and things, you know, just full disclosure for you guys. Anything you download here, it's going to tell you about a training that I do. It's the 90-10 Life training. And actually, I saw that you signed up for it, Juliette.
I did today, actually, I think.
That's the training right there. It's how I made an extra $5,288 every single week by systematizing my business and building a virtual team to run it for me. It's basically that's my motto. It's like the problem with businesses today is that they're not being built to scale. And entrepreneurs, the reason why we create these businesses is because we want freedom. We want to be able to do what we want. We want to have time to spend with our families. But unfortunately, what happens is, quite sadly, is that we create these businesses and then they start running us. We don't run the business. They start running us. So then we spend less time with the family. We have less time to do the things that we want, because as we grow and as we become more successful, it literally starts imploding on us. And without being systematized and without having the right team in place, a reliable, good team in place that you can delegate stuff off to, I wouldn't have the luxury of waking up every day and doing what I wanted to do every day if I didn't have a team if I had a team that needed babysat and needed to be monitored every day, I don't even see my team. I do like a monthly call once in a while, and people, like, even today I saw an article on Entrepreneur said that they need to have, you need to have a daily checkup call with your VA every day. I'm like, I don't do that. I trust my team. I build really great teams that do what they're supposed to do every day, and I check in with them once in a while.
Well, that's right. It's all about training. It really is about systems in place. You train people, and you take time to train people until you understand that they know what you want and they do it perfectly. Then you don't have to worry about it. I have one question here from Luke Vincent. This is very funny because actually me and Luke, we were supposed to have an easy chat today, and I forgot to write him down to my calendar, and I booked Jeff. So Luke is there and he's letting himself know. So let's have a look what he's asking. This is an interesting question. How do you use different countries? Is there one area that has great value in terms of quality versus price, or do you tend to mix the teams based on the type of tasks and role? Man,
that is a really good question, Luke.
Yeah.
Thank you for actually putting that out there. So for me, it's a mix, actually. I'm going to answer your question in a way you probably aren't expecting. Which is yes, and yes. So yes, I do hire for roles. So I try to find and match. Of course, you want to hire someone that has a skill set to do something. Have I hired people that haven't had a skill set and trained them to do something? Yeah, I have. Matter of fact, Redora, who is my operations manager right now, my operations manager, she manages everybody. She sends out all the payroll to all 50 plus people. She does all the management. She does so much stuff, guys. And she actually was not hired twice by me. She called me on Skype. She sent me an email, and on Skype we had a discussion. Well, I should say it wasn't a discussion. It was me talking and her typing because I couldn't hear her. And then I said, it's not going to work out. And then she's like, hey, sir, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I couldn't get my mic to work. It's working now. Can I have another chance? Now, mind you, this is someone who the only reason I gave the interview to was because she was super persistent. She just emailed me all the time. She was like, can I please have? And in my head, I was thinking, I just want her to go away. Let's have the interview and just that's it. So her resume had 0 job experience. She had gone to college for 2 years and dropped out. Not exactly my type of person. So what ended up happening was, remember what I told you, right? She's now the manager of my team. It gets interesting here. So we have the second call, and she would have been better off without the microphone, because at least I could have imagined her voice. When I heard it, I was like, oh no, she can't speak English. It was atrocious. And look, I have nothing against non-native English speakers.
I hope she's not watching this.
It was just Redora loves the story. It's a medal she wears. It's a trophy. Brilliant. Especially to see where she's come from. And now what's crazy is I said no on the second call. I said, wow, you don't have any experience. Come back later when you have experience, you've got a job or finished school. And I'm going to try not to get emotional here, but she wrote me a message and she said that she had just had a baby and she had to drop out of school. And her husband was in a training to be a seaman for the Philippine government and was never home, and she couldn't leave her kid. And I was like, you don't really have any skills I could use. And she says, I understand that. And she says, I'm willing to work for you for free to gain experience until I have the ability.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But you have to, oh my gosh, you have to give her, like, this takes guts.
Give her a chance.
Wow.
And I gave her a list of things, of contacts that I needed information for an event I was coming up to. And I was like, just find the email address and the name of these guys. I'm going to send them out information. I want to know who these people are. There's about 300 or so. I figured it'd take her a week to do it. That's what I thought I'd probably have me do. And ironically, I don't know if she slept. I mean, 24 hours later, she gave me an Excel spreadsheet that had first name, last name, email address, phone number, company they work for, position, Facebook, Twitter, everything you could possibly imagine about these people. And I hired her right then and there. And
oh my God, that just sounds like when I exploit my daughter for stuff.
And well, I hired her right there. And now, you know, over 8 raises and 4 positions later, she's now the operations manager for my company. And she's ride or die, man. Like, it's funny because my wife and I laugh about it because she's the type of person that she's just like, whatever I end up doing in life, I could close my business today. Whatever I'm doing, Redora's like, you know, like she's combined to the hip. Like wherever I'm going, she's going to be there.
Great. And she probably had that sense before even. That's why she was so persistent. It's like, this is the man. I'm going to work with him. And that's it.
She saw the website. She saw how I treated my people. And you know what? I don't talk about this business very often because I get 80 to 100 people contacting me every month. I honestly stopped accepting clients except for like, you know, really high impact influencers. But my VA staffer business, when she went to that website, vastaffer.com, she was like, you know what? She just saw the people that I had on my website and she just liked it and she wanted to be a part of it. And every single profile, like all the bios on that page are actually written by the staff themselves. Wow. Because I didn't want anyone, even my clients or the world or whoever, I want people to tell their own story. And also even the bad English. Some of them have bad English. And so ironically, I lost one of my best yesterday. We had a going away party for her. Her name's Pamela. This is her right here. Aww. I actually had this picture ready because we threw a going away party for her. And she moved on. Her and her boyfriend are moving and doing other things. And she left after working in my Makati City office for almost 3 years. But I don't know if you can see this, but you can see it's 3 years. It says 2 years ago, but that's because it's almost 3. This is what she wrote. This is her comment that she wrote about herself. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, read it. We didn't.
I don't want to cry.
I don't want to cry either, but I want to hear it.
He says, Pamela, this is her first work experience as a virtual assistant. She took up 2 years business information management course at Asian Institute of Computer Studies. There are only 2 in the family, and she's the eldest. She's planning to continue her studies after she earned, but as of now, her focus is to help her family and send her little sister to school. And we have such a huge opportunity as Westerners. You know, even the money that we have, like $1 US is worth 50 pesos in the Philippines. And, you know, I've grown my staff significantly. And to be honest with you, most of the people that I've hired probably haven't had the qualities and skills that are required to do the job. Just they had a really good story. And, you know, I'm at the point to where as a project manager and a super delegator, I guess you could call me, you know, the outsourcing tycoon, I'm pretty confident to train people to do things for me that within the first 30 days, they're going to make me money. So I'm not worried about it. I usually have people pay for themselves, and I see it as a way for me to solve global poverty, one job at a time, you know?
But this is amazing. And now I really, you know, this, and I'm going to say this, and this is from my heart. You know, I invited you to come to Easy Chats. We never spoke before. We didn't really know each other. And I was looking at you and I was looking at your face and I was saying, there's something about this man and I need to bring him to my show. I just need to, just because I want to meet you. And that's how I meet a lot of people. And in a busy lifestyle, I sometimes don't have time for virtual coffees outside the screen. And you know what? And it's amazing because it really touched me, because I do feel so blessed living, being European, living in the West, and even I'm from Estonia, and Estonia is okay. It's not a poor country. It's okay. The living maybe is a little cheaper than, let's say, in Ireland, and but still, it's still okay comparing to, let's say, the likes of Asia and Africa and Latin America and other places. And I always feel very blessed, and I always also go out of my way, if I can, to support these people, because if we all do that, if we don't, it's supporting, the idea of supporting local business, it sometimes is a little bit fake. Sometimes you need to think about who needs it more, and these people do, and they always give back 100%.
You know what?
I gave back 100%. Somebody looked after me when life wasn't that great, and I give back 100% because of that. Because when somebody is stretching their hand to you, I like the girls the stories that you just mentioned. Yes, they reached out and they were persistent, but look what was on the stakes. Everything depends on what they do. And look, I really appreciate you. And I appreciate that you're doing this. This is amazing. Your photographs, when I looked at you, when I was researching before the show, and I thought, my God, they're like a family. And now I see why. No, I'm really, really touched. This is just amazing.
You really are like my family. And I took my personal wife. We've been together, gosh, I guess 10 years now, and 5-year-old son. And for me personally, I've found that I took them over to the Philippines with me last year in May, and we were there for 30 days, which is a long time. My son was 3 at the time, because it was May before he turned 4. But it was an incredible experience, and they really got a chance to bond with my team, which is basically my second family. And some of them call me like Popsy J. Popsy is kind of like the older brother, father mentor type figure. I've had my team ask me to be godfather for their kids, and I've respectfully declined because it's 23-hour flight away.
Well, really that's true. If you want to fulfill your responsibilities as a godfather,
exactly. I take that kind of stuff seriously. I'm a religious.
But the thought is amazing. But I have a lot of friends who are Filipinos even around here, and I always connect with people who are, for some reasons, are not actually Irish, who are in Ireland, but I connect with other people because it's so interesting to find out about their cultures and backgrounds. And people in Filipino and a lot of other nationalities, but they're very lovely. Like, that's the word I would use. There's a lot of they're so open-hearted, and really, I always enjoy and appreciate those connections. So,
and you know what? Outsourcing has a bad name, and I really, and I think, honestly, to be honest with you, like I said, there's a battle right now between the term virtual assistant, the definition of a virtual assistant, and the thing is that there's a lot of people who just need a chance. They just need a chance, and whether you are that American virtual assistant who's a stay-at-home mom who wants to get more value and purpose in her life, and that's amazing, right? And there's lots of amazing opportunities, and there's people all over the world that want to do things, and it's just crazy to believe. It's mind-boggling to think that here we are in a world in America where we're complaining about a $15 an hour minimum wage. That's what they want to raise it to, where in the Philippines people are lucky to make $2 to $4 a day, let alone $2 to $4 an hour, right? If you just paying someone, $4 to $7 an hour is like literally life-changing there. And it's just, we're so spoiled. And look, I've gotten haters that said, oh, you know what, you take advantage of people, you're paying them this and that and whatever else. And you know what? You'll
always get that when you're working with
everyone on my team is the highest earner in their family, and it's because I believed in them and I taught them very valuable skills that they can learn and take and do anything they want. Just like Pam, who left yesterday, she's going to be able to take those skills that she learned. She's been working with a $2 billion corporation in sales enablement for the past 3 years, helping their sales teams get qualified leads. you tell me that's not a very valuable skill.
Massive experience, massive to have on your resume, massive skill you require doing that. It's amazing. It is amazing.
So that's how I want you guys to think too. Like, you know, yes, we as business owners need to make money. Yes, of course. And the reason why you're not hiring someone is a bad excuse. The truth of the matter is, the reason why you're not hiring somebody is probably because you don't have your business in order, and you need to get a little bit of systems in there. You need to get a little bit of ideas on what you're going to have these people do for you and outsource it. Maybe the first thing you want to outsource isn't to a Filipino. Maybe it's to an American. Maybe you need to build a funnel for something. Maybe you need to build something like copy. I have a copywriter. Her name's Brittany. I pay her good money, $1,200 to help me write email campaigns for my stuff. When you guys sign up for these things, you're going to get an email campaign trying to talk you into going into my webinar. She wrote it. I didn't write it. She wrote it, right? It's not what I'm good at. That's not what I do. I build virtual teams. That's what I do. I don't want to do anything else in my life if it doesn't have to do with building a virtual team or hanging out with my family. That's pretty much all I want to do all day. So
John Assaraf, I think it was, who said, hire people who play at what you have to work at, you know, and that's how you get successful. Then you feel like you're never working, you're doing things you're enjoying and you're meant to do, and everything else gets done. So this is it. Oh, and my light is gone. Okay, well, that just shows.
That's the sign.
That's the sign. Okay, and yes, but look, I still look good.
Yes, you do. Well, you look fantastic.
That's good. That's good. I look my 41 now.
Are you? No.
But look, I honestly brought you to the show today, Jeff, and I didn't know where that is going to turn around to this. I absolutely enjoyed every second of it, and I loved it. I loved what you were saying to us about needing the need to outsource, and we will put the links to those fantastic documents that you were showing us there. And something else, there's 3 things that you promised us, didn't you? There was two documents.
Yeah, I've got, so I'll definitely, guys, if you want the 17 tasks, just comment 17 tasks. That's this one. This will give you some ideas of what you can have a virtual assistant do for you. I do want to point out, there's these little pink boxes here that have really good tips. I would definitely not pass these tips up, guys. They're really useful. The other thing too is my actual salary guide. This is based in the Philippines. It does have a little bit of a guide that tells you how it compares against other places in the world. The last one is my actual training that I said, the 910life.com. If you guys can go there and check out the training. What I do, I go over 3 main points. The first point is how by focusing in your life, you can actually gain more value. I'll show you the exact example using one of my high-power clients I was telling you about earlier, Liz Benny, who went from $6,025 a week to $75,400 a week just by delegating everything to a virtual assistant. The second thing that I teach you guys is how to do cost-neutral hiring, which is hiring someone and actually have them working for you and making money for you more than what you pay them after the first 30 days. And then the number one thing that people say after they do that, they say, how do I train this person? So I'm going to show you the exact same method. I call it the 246 Freedom Pathway, the same exact method that I've used to train hundreds of virtual assistants for myself and for my clients over the years. So that's something I put on completely free, and you guys can check that out. It's about an hour 15 long training.
It sounds amazing. Sounds like a value bomb. It's brilliant. I've signed up already.
I'm going to do it tonight, guys, 6 p.m., yeah. But it's going to be a little late for you.
Oh, God, it's like, yeah. Do you have replays?
I'll make sure. So last week I didn't hit the record button, but this week, just for you, I'm going to remember to hit that record button. And I'll send you a reply. I really appreciate,
because 2-3 a.m. I will end up look, I came to Ireland to meet the other half of mine, and we just got married this year. And if I start staying up for 3 a.m. webinars, there will be a divorce before the end of the year, and I don't want this to
happen. Aren't you Americans? For just having all these time zones.
It's a shame. I have so many great American friends, and a lot of them are 8 hours apart from me. But you know what? As I say, I'm in the future, so the lottery numbers and all that, come to me. I'll tell you what's happening. Right. Well, guys, thank you so much, everybody who took their time. And we had an hour-long show. Usually it's just a half an hour. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for your time, guys. And Jeff, thank you so much for coming in and spending this time with us. It was absolute blast.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Juliette.
Okay, guys. Bye, everybody.